Welcome everybody to today's meeting. To officially start the meeting, I would like to announce that this meeting will be recorded and shared amongst members for study and self-reflection. In order to have a smooth meeting, here are some ground rules. Put yourself on mute when not speaking. Don't interrupt while someone is speaking. Be attentive throughout the meeting and support the speakers with your warm jazz hands. We'd like to do our Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And now I'd like to pass it to our club president, Mr. Peter Shee.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for coming. I know we have a couple of people out because of tournaments and AP review, but I do thank y'all all for coming. I don't believe I've actually met I got his name Jason before. Have you been to a meeting?
Like 2 weeks ago.
Oh, okay. So y'all have presumably already know Jason. So as I saw. I'll save the introduction. I already met him before the meeting, but I'll pass it to the Toastmaster of today, Xavier Taylor.
Thank you, Mr. President. First, I'd like to bring up our grammarian, Miss Anna Zhang, to introduce the grammarian's role in the word of the day.
Thank you, Toastmaster Xavier. As a grammarian, I will be listening carefully to everybody's speeches, the word of the use of the word, and catch the filler words such as us and us, and so's and like. And at the end of the meeting, I will report everybody's use of the English words. I also would like to encourage everyone to use the word of the day. It is beguile. The definition is to attract or interest someone, or to trick or deceive them. So there are positive or negative use of the same word. You can use the example as a negative sentence, such as she was cunning enough to beguile her classmates into doing the work for her. But this word, like I said, you can also use for a positive intention. Beguile. So that's the word of the day. Beguile. Back to you, Toastmaster Xavier.
Thank you for the introduction of the grammarian's role and the word of the day. Next up, since our timer, Mr. Don Gray, isn't here. If nobody else will take it up, then I will introduce.
I'll take on the timer's role.
All right. Thank you, Miss Tony Brickham. If you would please introduce the timer's role.
Okay. As the timer, I hope my computer won't act up this time. I am to monitor the allotted time given for each presentation. If the presentation is 5 to 7 minutes, I will show a green card. At 5 minutes, I will show, the cards are not coming up right now, but I'll have them up by the time the first speaker starts. I'll show a yellow card at 5.5 minutes, and I will show a red card at 6 minutes, and the speaker will then have 30 seconds to wrap it up. If he goes beyond 7 minutes and 31 seconds, he will be disqualified for any award. So we want to make sure that he pins the timer so that he will see the signal colors. And at red, he has 30 seconds, he or she has 30 seconds to close out his presentation. The same goes for table topics, but it's just 2 minutes. And at 1 minute, I will show the green card. At 2.5 minutes, I will show the yellow card. And at 2 minutes, I will show the red card. The same goes for the evaluators. They have 3 minutes. And at 2 minutes, I will show the yellow card. At 2.5 minutes, I'm sorry. At 2 minutes, I will show the green card. 2.5 minutes, I will show a yellow card. And at 3 minutes, I will show the red card with 30 seconds to wrap it up. At the end of the session, or whenever called upon by the Toastmaster or the General Evaluator, I will give the timer's report for the speakers. Back to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you, Ms. Tony, for the introduction of the timeless rule. Next up, I'd like to bring up Ms. Hyan Feng for her for speech number 1.
Thank you, Toastmaster. I'm honored to practice today my speech that I'm going to give in about 20 minutes. I was invited as a teacher representative to give a speech at the closing ceremony at the National Chinese speech competition as one of my 9th grader student won one of the title. We don't know yet which one he has won, but very, very happy and excited for him. So here's my speech in English. I'm supposed to deliver this in Chinese. Respected judges, fellow teachers, beloved students, and their parents, hello. I'm a teacher from Dayton School in Arkansas, and I'm honored to represent teachers in sharing my experience of organizing students to participate in a nationwide Chinese speech competition for the first time. Allow me to describe it in a few words of feelings. First of all, I'm deeply moved by the courage and spirit of participation of all 1,420 students who participated in this competition. You may have heard that public speaking is considered one of the most frightening things in the world, let alone speak in a foreign language. And this foreign language happens to be Mandarin Chinese. Regardless of the results, whether you advanced to the preliminary or the final rounds, you have overcome the biggest challenge in the whole world, which is your own fear. So I suggest that you take a screenshot of your computer or on the phone and share it on the Instagram now. Just say that on scene of National Chinese Speech Competition. That beguiling your audience to give you over 100 likes and screams is likely an understatement. At the same time, I'm amazed by the massive lineup of 1,420 students from 39 states, organized by 300 teachers. The number of teachers has almost doubled last year, and then the number of students tripled. Our school in Arkansas, which has neither an immersion program nor any heritage speakers, finally feels we are not alone. In the final speech competition, I heard contestants from all over the United States speak openly and authentically in Chinese about their unique cultural experience and observations. They used a variety of innovative fusion styles to perform Chinese literary and artistic program, allowing us to hear and see the influence of Chinese culture globally and to appreciate the unique charm of culture infusion. For the students who have won awards today, enjoying the unparalleled joy. Go share the happiness and satisfaction that come with success with your teachers and families and parents and who has always supported you. Be sure to say thank you for your help to them in person. At this moment, when your brain and the body are fused with dopamine, allow me to slip in a quote from the Bible. To whom much is given, much is required. The more talented you are, I hope you should realize more of your responsibility. Let your talent and a sense of responsibility guide you to pursue and build a better world. Finally, I'm grateful for the National Chinese Language Conference. It is a public organization composed of top teachers, experts, and who love who loved education in North America. Teachers Lisa Huang and her team organized this competition, providing such an excellent platform for Chinese language learners across the United States to showcase their learning achievement on this public platform. I earnestly hope that more schools and teachers and students will come here to show their skills next year. Musician Ma Yo-yo once said that the responsibility of a musician is not only to play good music, but also to convey hope and love through music. I would like to say that to all the students here present today, the purpose of learning Chinese is not just to speak fluent Chinese, because after all, 1.41 billion people can do that better than you will ever can. But only you can use your pursuit and story to convey hope and love, to infect more people, and to build a bridge of culture exchange between the East and the West. Thank you very much. Back to you, Toastmaster.
Excellent speech, Ms. Hyman. Next up, we have our second speaker, which will be Tim Zhu. Should be evaluated by Mr. Don Gray, who doesn't seem to be here. So if somebody would like to take up the evaluation, Mr. Horace Taylor.
What do I do? I need to have information.
Okay, I can explain that to you.
Yeah.
Just evaluates just general, the body, the language, the eye contact, the structure of the speech, beginning, body, ending,
Okay.
the value of the speech.
Okay. I got it.
Yeah,
Right.
okay. All right, so Jason will step in and be the evaluator.
Mr. Horace Taylor.
No. Sorry for the confusion. Mr. Tim Ju, you're up.
Oh, okay. Hello, today I'll be doing my third speech. And for this speech, I'll be talking about procrastination. Procrastination is something I've been suffering with for a little bit. I do most of my projects, I get deadlines, and every time when I'm just like a few days before the deadline, I probably haven't even started yet. And that always stresses me out, but eventually I do finish on time. But I don't think that's very healthy to do everything in the last second or minute or even days. I just want to talk about some ways you can avoid procrastination and some ways that might help you do better instead of procrastinating. So I'll be explaining 5 short tips to help procrastination. Firstly, you want to break down your large tasks into smaller, more manageable ones. So it can be maybe like you're writing a 5-page essay. You can just start by doing the introduction one day and the second paragraph another day, and then continue on just sectioning down the amount of work you have to do. And don't look at it like one whole thing. That'd make it a lot more unmanageable, and you'll be thinking, that's so much work. I might as well do it tomorrow since I don't want to do it today. But if you think about it as one small section at a time, you can think, I could do one today, I can do the next one tomorrow, and then eventually you'll get it done. That'd be the first step. You want to just take small steps and gradually build your momentum to keep moving forward, and also keep a good motivation and don't slack off when you're working. Secondly, is you want to prioritize your tasks. Identify the tasks that are more important and focus on them first. So instead of working on the small things, the easy things, you should work on the most important ones. Like if you're doing a presentation, you have to write a presentation. You shouldn't always just work on this, like finding pictures for it or just working on the title. You should work on like the meat of the presentation, the actual words, and just what you're trying to say, what you're trying to convey for the presentation. You need to work on the main point more and focus and tone and tune in that part instead of just like the small details, the title or anything like that. Thirdly, you want to set a realistic goal and deadline for yourself. You shouldn't always think ahead and be like, yeah, I'm gonna finish all of this by tomorrow. When you already have maybe a month or just a few weeks to get it done, you should use all the time that has been given to you to work, and you shouldn't just decide, this looks simple enough. I could probably finish this all in one day. Work it out, plan your head, and then use all your time, make it even better. Even if you finish, you can always look back over and then try to do better. And then it's also important to like not set over ambitious goals that are impossible to achieve. So just set a realistic goal that would help you not procrastinate. Fourthly, this I feel like this would be the most important point for me is to eliminate distractions. It's very hard for me to do since I always have my computer, my phone, or just any other distractions always around me on my table. And I don't really have anywhere else to put them, so I just always leave them there. And when I'm working at my table, I look up and I just see my phone's there. My phone's always charging next to me, and I see a notification, grab my phone, look on there, and just like, oh, my friend texted me. They want to do this, but like I'm still working on my presentation. So I always think to myself, I need to turn off my phone and leave it there and don't just think about it. But even then, I might always think, what if someone's really important texting me or something important happens that I need to check so I can turn my phone off? And that's always like dilemma I face is just leave my phone there. So what I try to do is keep it as far as possible for me. So it take more time for me to get up, go to my phone, then sit back down. Because I feel like it take more energy for me to just get up, look at my phone, and then find out it's nothing important, then and come back down, try to finish my work, lose my train of thought, then just to sit here, finish the work, go check my phone and see what was happening. Social media is also a major distraction, like texting, anything on there. You just get so addicted to it once you're on it. Like TikTok is an example. You start scrolling, you can't stop. That's why I think it's a good idea to limit the amount of social media that you watch or do each day, which is helpful. Currently, I'm trying to limit myself and not be on my phone too much. I've been on quite a bit, and that's probably not too great for me as a student. So finally, you shouldn't be too hard on yourself when you're working. You shouldn't always be, dang, I didn't do this, I couldn't do this, and thinking like you're not good enough, because that is also a main thing that makes you not want to do anything. If you're mentally not prepared for anything, you most likely won't be able to do it. So you just want to power through it, think that you can do it, always believe in yourself, and then you'll be able to get through most things. So in conclusion, procrastination is a pretty big deal and it can be like a serious obstacle to achieve most of your goals. And but there are just there's a lot of strategies out there if you can search a lot of them up, and then you can also come up with your own to overcome this. So that's why I think I wanted to share this idea with you guys and these tips on how to not procrastinate too much. Thank you.
Thank you for the speech, Mr. Timzu. And next up, I'd like to bring up Mr. Horace Taylor, or Mr. Peter Shee to introduce Mr. Horace Taylor.
Just like to introduce a seasoned Toastmaster for his outstanding, presumably, speech, Mr. Horace Taylor.
Thank you for that kind introduction. For my speech today, what I would like to do is follow the theme set by the first speaker from the standpoint of a second or a different language. Back in 2016, if I remember the date correctly, I used to teach a class in Medunetter, or ancient Egyptian hieroglyph, how to read, how to write, how to understand and transliterate ancient Egyptian hieroglyph. As I would begin my lesson, I would tell those in the audience, I have recently coined a new term, and I called it Englyph. And you can see how it comes from English and glyph. And then I give them an example. Some of you may recognize this example from our text messaging. but PPL can be translated as people. CN can be translated as can and read this. That's my way of connecting with where we are today and trying to get students a few years ago to understand how easy it is to learn to read and to write and transliterate ancient Egyptian hieroglyph. And then I threw that big line there in the middle that says, imagine trying to read this, blah, 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 blah. And you get used to doing so after time. That's what that centerpiece is. It's all of the English words or the English words put back to back to back to back to back, right? That's how most students see ancient Egyptian hieroglyph, because we are training in today's grammatical form to have spaces and commas and question marks or diacritical marks, things of that nature. And then I finished it out with this GR8 to say that's how we can translate the word great. Then what I would present to them is what I call my timetables of hieroglyphs. And as you can see, behind each letter or each alphabet, A through Z, we have a different symbol. And that's simply my table of hieroglyphs, right? Take, for instance, at the very bottom, let's look at the bottom row alone. The very bottom first cell, it says Amun. You see that feather and that comb-looking symbol, and then those look like a triple, quadruple letter M, right? If you go up to the top of the page and find each one of those letters, you will see how when you see those three letters combined, we would utter the phrase or the sound something to the effect of Amun or Amen, right? And the same, if we keep going across the bottom row, you'll see the circle, the disc, the sign disc, and we would pronounce that today, Ra or Ray. And on over, you see Osiris and Isis and the like. This, again, is what I refer to as my timetables of key to ancient Egyptian hieroglyph, transliterating and transferring hieroglyph. Now, one of the first questions that's always asked is, well, how do you know which way you're going to read? Are you going to read from left to right or right to left or top to bottom? Well, that depends on the motion, the directions that something within the words that you're about to transliterate is indicating. For instance, in these two instances here you can see the birds facing to the right. That means the point is you would always read in the direction or into the face of whichever way the letters or the symbols seem to be moving. Now, of course, to give a lesson, we must always have some kind of text to back us up, right? Well, the book there, How to Read Ancient Egyptian Hieroglyph, the one in blue, I picked that book up by mistake one day back in 2005. And maybe that whole year, I must have read that book about 5 or 6 times, just out of, just out of a hunch. I just happened to read it. And then once I realized that I understood what it was saying, and then I started to apply that to actual hieroglyph. Now, a little bit about numbers, right? Those symbols there on the left are the actual symbols that represent numbers, as in that one stroke is a 1, or that half moon is a 10, that little coil rope is 100, that what I call that a lotus plant is 1,000, that thumb symbol being 10,000, a tadpole to represent 100,000, and woohoo, if you win $1 million, that's why you got the guy with the hands up. And then on the very bottom, I gave a little example of a number, right? 1,000, one of those lotus plants, 9 of those coral ropes, 6 of those half moons, and 9 strokes to get to the number 1969. On my last slide, I'd like to give you a quick demonstration of how ancient Egyptian hieroglyph may sound.
Imhotep, everybody. In Middle Netra, that means greetings or come in peace or satisfaction. Reni Mantek, my name is Mantek, and I'm going to teach you the numbers 1 through 10 in Middle Netra. Wasanu, Konkt, Fidu, Diu, Sisu, Safek, Kemnu, Paseju, Mudu. Now I'm going to say that one more time to just slow it down a little bit. Wasanu, Konkt, Fidu, Diu, Sisu, Safek, Kemnu, Paseju, Mudu. And I'm going to say it one more time to just show it off a little bit. Wasanu, Confidu, Diu, Sisu, Safek, Kemnu, Paseju, Mudu. Shalom Hotep, everybody. In Middle Netra, that means come out in peace or bring out in peace and satisfaction. And Shalom Hotep, everybody.
Well, thank you. And ladies and gentlemen, that concludes my presentation.
For the excellent speech, Mr. Horace Taylor. Next up, I'd like to bring up Matthew for our table topics session.
Thank you, everybody, for coming. I will lead our table topics session, and I'd like to first summarize what is going to go on. So I will ask a question first, and then I'll pick someone from this meeting, and you'll have 1 to 2 minutes to answer the question and just give your take on what you think about the topic. My first question is, what is your dream job and why? This question goes to Xavier.
Thank you for the excellent question, student Matthew. My dream job and why? Well, if you recall, I gave a speech on being in the Air Force. My dream job in the Air Force was being a fighter jet pilot. And from a very young age, from far back as I could remember, around the age of 3, when I flew on my first plane, ever since that first time, I always liked planes, always thought flying was cool. But when I was younger, I wanted to be a SWAT team member. But over the years, as I got older, the more flights I've been on, more and more times I've enjoyed flying. And so, what I want, my dream job would be a pilot. Not just any pilot, a pilot in the Air Force. Because although I like flying fast in fighter jets. So thank you for the question.
Thank you, Xavier, for that answer. My next question is, do you consider yourself an extrovert or an introvert? And this question goes to Peter.
Thank you for that question, Matthew. So I would like to consider myself an extrovert. Mostly because I just like to talk a lot. And I think most of the people who are around me would say I am an extrovert because I'm mostly the person who's going out and setting up stuff. I like going to social outings, and at those social outings, I like being the center of attention. It's hard for me to understand how someone would not want to be that. But that's just the way I am. And I understand there's different people with different types of backgrounds and things that shape them to be either an extrovert or an introvert. But me personally, I would like to say that I am an extrovert and I'm proud to be one. I love talking, I love interacting with each other, with other people, and I'm always the person at a social outing to go. If I don't know anybody, I'm always the person to go up to someone and say, "Hey, how are you? My name is this. How are you doing?" And I just find it in a way that it allows you to interact and learn from other people. And while not criticizing anybody who claims they're introverts, I would just rather do that than sit in the back and observe. So yeah, I would like to say I would be an extrovert. Thank you for the question.
Thank you for that answer. My next question is, what qualities do you look for in a friend? This question goes to Jason.
Thank you for the question, Matthew. There are several qualities I look for in a friend. One, are we working together towards common goals, right? Is the friendship one direction where I'm always helping you or you're always helping me, but I can't reciprocate? Another aspect of friendship I'm looking for is what commonalities do we have? Do we have the same hobby, the same interests? What kind of decisions are we making when we're out together? Do we have each other's back in certain situations that you'll find later in life? Whether it's in a bad situation or a good situation. And really, I just look at the overall quality of the person. I hold myself to a high standard of who I am, so I expect my friends to be similar. They don't have to be, and it's debatable, better or worse or whatever, but I want to have similar values, similar character. If I tell you that I'm friends with somebody, does it make me look bad? For example, if they were a thief, I don't want to be their friend, right? Because if I tell you I'm friends with this thief, you think I might be a thief or I might be shady. So I don't want their reputation to hold me down. So I look for people like that. Now, I do not look for someone that I could gain off of. So what I mean by that is I'm the same friend to you if you're broke as a joke or if you're rich. I'm not after nothing particular material wise from you. I just want to be a true friend to you. I want you to be a true friend to me. And that's what I look forward to. Look forward as a friend. Thank you.
Jason, for that answer. My next question is, if you could change one thing about yourself, what would it be? And that question goes to Horace Taylor.
Thank you for the question. If I could change one thing about me, what would it be? Beguile. Beguile. To attract or interest someone, or to trick or deceive them. I wouldn't necessarily look to deceive anyone, but deception and trickery, maybe that's kind of a fine line. But we like to use the term trick to play a little harmless game, people. So I would incorporate more beguiling moments with the people that I interact with. Not to deceive them, but to get them to let their hair down, so to speak, so that we can all enjoy and have a small laughter here and there. That's what I think I would do. Yeah, that's what I know I will do. I will employ beguiletry into my daily interactions. Back to you, sir.
Thank you. And I was wondering where that was going to go, but thank you for that answer. And my next question is, if you could live anywhere, where would it be? And this question goes to Tim.
Thank you for the question. Personally, I haven't really traveled much places. The main places I've been would be China and America. I would really, I'd say I might go. I wouldn't really like to live there permanently. I would still, if it was like a visit, I would love to do that. Going back to China would be a really fun experience for me again. To meet all my relatives there it would be really fun, and then just to explore the culture there, which is I really find it interesting, like the culture in China. It's just really, I say, beautiful and extravagant there. And a lot of I love going outside and seeing a bunch of food stalls everywhere and then everything, all that. It's just a really fun experience for me. But to say to permanently live there, I wouldn't really do so, as my Chinese is not the best and I've really grown up here. So I guess I gotten attached to living where I am. So I wouldn't really say I have a favorite place that I would like to live in. But if I have to say a place like a new place that I want to explore, it'd probably be Hawaii, as I do kind of like going to sunny areas and then maybe experiencing the beach a bit. Thank you.
Thank you for that answer. My next question. What has been the highlight of this past week? And this question goes to Tony Britton.
Thank you for the question. The highlight for this week has been the speech contest, the international speech contest offered by our district, where we highlighted and spotlighted the top speakers in our clubs. They gave very interesting stories, and that's where my learning takes place. They have all different subjects and experiences individually that we wouldn't have personally. So to hear these stories and these adventures, just like pretty much the way we do here in the Gavel Club, you hear these experiences and you learn so much and you take copious notes and you see how you can apply it to your life. And we also had an evaluation contest this week, which is my very best experience. I love those tools because once you learn to become an excellent evaluator, you know all the components of an excellent speech. So you inevitably become a great speaker. So those are the two things that highlighted my week. I really appreciated the time that I had to experience and listen and learn. So those two things have been my highlight, and it was so peaceful and quiet. I was able to actually focus and take copious notes. So thank you for the question. I forgot to time myself. Okay.
Thank you. My last question is, would you rather someone be honest and hurt your feelings or lie to protect your feelings? And this question goes to Anna Chang.
Thank you, Top Master Matthew, for that question. I would always prefer somebody to be honest, even though that might hurt my feelings. Because if it fits my hurting, but it's fact, then the fault is my own insecurity. And I have opportunity to make aware of that. And that's my growth opportunity. So yeah. So be honest with me all the time. Don't feel you will hurt my feeling. I don't have a glass heart. It doesn't break that easily. Just bring it up. I can take it. The opposite side is if somebody want to beguile me, deceive me, just to protect my feelings, sometimes I will get upset because that's just just deceiving. It's just not good. It is dishonest. It is it's trying to manipulate. I don't appreciate that. So I always appreciate honesty, even though sometimes that can be brutal, but that's okay. I'm old enough to take it. Thank you.
And with that, I'd like to end our table topic session. I hope you all had a good time. And now I'd like to turn the role back to our Toastmaster, Xavier Taylor.
Thank you for the excellent table topic session, Mr. Matthew. It is now time to bring up our general evaluator, Ms. Tony Britton.
We did start on time. Thanks very much to our Sergeant of Arms. We did have 3 excellent speeches. The time was not given for either of the speeches. It's Hyen said her speech would be 12 to 15 minutes. However, he broke it down to 4 minutes and 32 seconds. Horace, Tim on procrastination, and I really appreciated that speech. He fell between 5 and 7 minutes, even though I didn't know what time he was going to use, if it was going to be 46 or 5 to 7, but he fell 5 minutes and 53 seconds, which was excellent. Distinguished Toastmaster Taylor, with his hieroglyphic presentation, was 7 minutes and 22 seconds. However, he did not give me an initial time. I just recorded it and went with the gut feeling of 5 to 7. I'm sorry. I'm giving the times for the speeches to set the qualification standard. So on my table topics, everybody qualified. Xavier was 115, Peter was 1.27, Jason was 131, Horace was 116, Tim was 121. I did not time myself. Toastmaster John was 1 minute and 30 seconds. So to start with, from the general evaluation point of view, everyone qualified. So at this point, I will bring up the first evaluator. I think it was Jason for Hyen. Who was the first evaluator for the first speaker?
Xavier.
Okay, Xavier, will you please give us your thoughts on Toastmaster Hyen's speech on Chinese education?
Yes, ma'am. So I will not beguile you with this evaluation here. She had an excellent speech, but there were some things that she could work on. First up, her clarity. She had a very clear speech, and if I remember correctly, at the beginning, she said she had to give it in Chinese when she was going to actually give the speech to the school that she was going to give it to. So I'm not sure if the notes she wrote it in was in Chinese or English, but either way, the speech was very clear, and that was great. So I gave her a 5 for clarity. Next up, we have vocal variety. Now, her speech, there was a lot of information in that speech, and she broke it down to only 4 minutes. So she did use the speed part of vocal variety very well. However, her tone was around the same the entire way through, with a fluctuation here and there. So I gave her a 4 for vocal variety. Eye contact, as I was watching as she was giving the speech, she would glance around at the end of every sentence, but she was mostly reading the sentences. However, she did, again, like I just said, at the end of each sentence, she glanced up, so she was engaging and looking at the audience, but I gave her a 3 for eye contact. Gestures, now, because I only seen about this much of her, so I only saw a couple gestures here and there, but I'm not sure if she did any more that I couldn't see that were lower than the camera. So I gave her a 4 on the gestures. Her audience awareness, since she's giving this speech to a bigger crowd, I'm sure the crowd that she's giving it to would be a lot more people and she'd be more aware of our audience here. So I gave her a 4 for audience needs and responsibilities. And she was effective in that. Comfort, she seemed very comfortable giving the speech. So I gave her a 5 for that and interest. She had a great speech. It was interesting, so I gave her a 5. That is my evaluation for Miss Iron's speech. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Xavier, for that speech. Our next evaluator is Toastmaster Jason. You have the leg turn.
Yes, ma'am, I'm ready. Mr. Jew gave a great speech on procrastination and his quest to eliminate that bad habit. He identified 5 critical points to being successful with eliminating this bad habit. 1, break your assignment down to a bite-sized amount. Next, prioritize. Paragraph 1 today, paragraph 2 tomorrow, paragraph 3 the next day until you get to the end. Also, realize your goal. What's the deadline? When must this assignment be completed? It gives you a goal to focus on. Then his most important advice was to eliminate distractions. Mr. Jew said he's addicted to cell phones, social media, computers. He said the best way to eliminate that distraction is to get it away from you because you cannot help but look at it. Your phone, your friends text you, your email dings, whatever you do, you get distracted. Mr. Jew pointed out that issue. And then also, he said, don't be hard on yourself, be positive. It's a journey. So those 5 points allowed Mr. Jew's presentation and identifying those 5 points will beguile me to use better use of my time to help not procrastinate. Mr. Jew was well organized. He had a strong understanding of his topic. He sounded confident and he gave details that we could use in our battle to overcome our bad habit of procrastination if we have that. And although his speech was really well presented, it was not flawless. I'm sorry, it was not flawless. He used several filler words. He used like twice, 3 times, and once. Other than that, there were no issues that I saw. And then from a body language standpoint, just like was mentioned earlier with the previous speaker, you should back up from the camera. All I see is a headshot. So if you back up, you can see your hand gestures and see your movements and give the human side to the speech. Overall, Mr. Jew had a great speech on procrastination, and I appreciate his information.
Okay. Thank you so much. Toastmaster Jason, sounds like you've been evaluated before. But I'm moving to our 3rd evaluator. And since I was not aware that I was the general evaluator, I did not take copious notes from the agenda. So our presentation on hieroglyphics. Peter, great. Let me write it. I'm ready, Peter.
Okay, so thank you, Horace Taylor, for your great speech about hieroglyphics. I think that, so first let's go down the list of your ratings. So the general purpose of the speech was clear. I thought that the purpose of the speech was very clear, so I gave you a 5 on that one. You had a clear connection, of course, to hieroglyphics. Throughout the speech, you brought up the presentation, and each part of the slide contributed to your actual speech and your actual purpose of the speech. The speech organization supported this speech specific perfect. As I stated, you were very prepared. You brought the presentation and each part of it, specifically the one that you had of the specific characters, and you applied them to the hieroglyphics. It was really nice to see how you really prepared that for it. The main points in supporting material contributed to the I believe that is the same thing. The beginning, body, and conclusion reinforce a specific purpose. Yes, I do believe yours did because you had a general theme throughout the speech of hieroglyphics, and I think I learned a little bit. I know the letter A is the bird. That's all I but the speaker achieved the specific purpose. I do believe so. If I was a better student, I think I would be able to have retained a lot more information, but I do believe that I have a general understanding about hieroglyphics now. How to read it specifically was something that really stuck out to me, that you had to read it based on the characters and which way they are facing, which I thought was very interesting. The speaker appeared confident and sincere with minimal nervousness. As always, Mrs. Taylor, you seemed very comfortable, very inside your own skin. It seems like, you've had this speech before, as always. And the speaker did not rely on notes, of course. I did not see you rely on any notes. So, yeah, how could this speaker have been more effective? I don't really know if I would say maybe a little bit more gestures, but might be just because we're on camera. Maybe just like other people scoot back from the camera a little bit more. I saw you do some gestures, but I think that backing away from the camera would be a lot better. So overall, it was a great speech and very nice. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Peter, for that evaluation for distinguished Toastmaster Harry Taylor. May we now have the notes from our grammarian, please.
Thank you, General Secretary Tony. Here's the grammarian report. In the prepared speech, Haiyan had 3 R's, but she used the word of the day. Those 3 R's are at the very beginning of her speech. But in the main body of her speech, she was very fluid. Tim, you had 3 R's, 2 likes, just as Jason just pointed out. But Tim was a very good speech, and I actually learned quite a lot how not to procrastinate. Yeah, so thank you for that. Horace, in your prepared speech, you are very smooth. I didn't hear any uhs and ahs. In the table topic session, Matthew, you are very smooth in as a table topic master. And the topics are very much fun. So good job today on that role. Xavier, in your table topics, I didn't hear any filler words and so's and us. Peter, you had 4 us in your table topic speech. Jason, you had 1 us. Horace, you used the word a day. I didn't hear any us and us. Tim, you had 2 us. Tony, you are very fluent in your table topic speech. In mine, I had 2 us, 1 so, but I used the word of the day. In the evaluation speech, Xavier, you used the word of the day. Jason, you are smooth throughout. Peter, I counted 5 us and then I stopped. Yeah. That's the grammarian report. Back to you, Tony.
Okay, great. To conclude the timer's report, Xavier's evaluation time was 2 minutes and 40 seconds. Jason's evaluation time for procrastination was 2 minutes and 4 seconds. And Peter's evaluation, one second, was 3 minutes and 6 seconds. So all of our evaluators qualified. Overall, it was an excellent meeting. We learned a lot from each one of our speakers, which is what the whole meeting is about, becoming better speakers and leaders. At this point, I would like to turn it back over for the roles for next week to our president.
So next week we're going to have a second session of the speech fair. Joseph and Jonathan Anselm, and Daniel, all 4 speakers will speak. Yay for them.
Excellent, excellent, all right.
Okay, so we do not need to have any,
Table topics.
oh, wait, we're
We,
gonna do
we
table
don't
talk.
do the table topics.
Mhm.
It's gonna rolling forward.
And then panel
And
and
panel evaluation. just
And
like-
do we need a Toastmaster or we just have?
We're gonna have a host.
Who's that? And-
Yeah, who would volunteer to be the host? I would say, a Gavalier can take that role. Xavier, yeah. Okay. All right, Xavier will take that role.
All right.
Oh,
I think-
Matthew, you ready?
Matthew wants to take it.
I can take it.
Okay, all right, okay, great.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.